Puppy, what do you think? You gonna give me a kiss? I'll make you into a coat anyways. It's alright. My point exactly. Cruella DeVille. Is DeVille part of it, or is it just Cruella? Just Cruella, I guess. What? Why? Why is this movie so good? That's right, I'm gonna start out opening this with just... This was unexpected. I've seen it twice. I've seen the movie twice already, if that tells you anything. In theaters, I've gone and watched it twice. One with a friend and one with my parents. Because, wow. Why do I like this movie? Cruella is a reimagining of 101 Dalmatians. It stars Emma Stone as Cruella DeVille. It's got Emma Thompson as the Baroness. And then it's got some other people. Mark Strong's in it. John McCree, Paul Walter Hauser, and what's the guy's name? Joel Fry. So Joel Fry, Paul Walter Hauser are the henchmen. Mark Strong is the caretaker, I guess, of the Baroness. And then Emma Thompson, as I said, she's the Baroness. Emma Stone is Cruella. And then John McCree is Artie, who is the designer who works a bunch of the outfits for Cruella. I love the atmosphere and everything about it. They chose a perfect time frame. This was set in 1960s. This has nothing to do with 101 Dalmatians. So if you're going into this and being like, I'm ready to see a lot of dogs, there are quite a few dogs in this movie, but it has nothing to do with dogs. Cruella, as a kid, she's kind of a troublemaker, but she realizes at a young age that she's kind of a genius, but also she has a bad side, which they call Cruella. Her real name is Estella, but she has almost a alter ego or a split personality. I think that's kind of what they were going for. We'll get into that in a second, but she had this split personality that is Cruella, and she was told by her mother to put that away and learn to kind of hide her from the world. So, and she's born, her natural hair color is that half of it's white, half of it's black, which I'm just saying, that would be sick. If half my hair was white, half my hair was black, that'd be awesome. I'd be totally into that. She gets in a lot of trouble. She ends up getting kicked out of school, so she ends up forcing her mom and her to move to London is where they're going, but they need some help, so they stop somewhere, and doing so, her mother ends up getting killed. Her parents pass away. She ends up traveling all the way to London by herself. She's now an orphan where she runs into two other kids who are living on the streets. Happens to be Horace and Jasper. They basically kind of welcome her to the family, and they're homeless people who run grifts on the streets. And 10 years go by. They're now adults, and they're still running grifts, but now they're really successful because Emma Stone, Cruella, ends up having a knack for fashion design, and so she makes a bunch of disguises for them to use during their grifts to basically be really successful doing it. By a miraculous chain of events, of course, just happenstance, everything kind of clicks into place. She ends up working for the Baroness. Then some info is learned about her parents and their deaths and a lot of other stuff. And then the movie completely changes a tone of shift. So the beginning of this movie is very front-loaded with story and narrative and character building. The best way to describe this movie is you take the first half of it is Devil Wears Prada, where it's very much about trying to get into the fashion world and the crazy designs of it and just dealing with pompous, posh people. But then the second half of this movie turns into a heist movie. It turns into Oceans, is the best way to say it. Imagine Devil Wears Prada and Oceans 3, Oceans 4, Oceans, I don't know. However many characters you want to consider to be part of the heist scheme that they have. And then Cruella kind of butts heads with the Baroness to see who's the greatest fashion designer in London. in this time frame. They chose the mid 60s, early 70s London for this movie to take place. It's when a large amount of change to modernization of looks and expanding out, in rather than just, very clean, very stylish looking things, you kind of experiment and you go with these really modern, these really standout outfits because they don't look fancy. They're outfits that look very casual, but very badass, and some of it's very colorful, very big, very just in your face. And that is part of it. Oh, and the outfits in this show, God, they were gorgeous. I'm not a big fashion person. I'm into watches. That's about it. You tell me to tell you what looks good, I'll have no idea. But man, designer outfits that they had were gorgeous, and they played a really important role with the show, and a really important role in the evolution of time and how the story and the world played out. So very important, and I just gotta give them props. Whoever was the costume designer in this, fantastic job. Cruella ends up befriending someone, Artie, as well as part of it, who is just kind of a store owner. He plays a great character. He plays a guy it's the rebel who just him and Cruella get along very well because they're both rebels and they both want to stand out, and they both just don't want to be normal. This story does a really good job. It has a really good progression of some interesting topics about dealing with loss and dealing with revenge and how you go about that, and dealing with trying to find out who you truly are. And the movie handled it great. As I said, Emma Stone honestly killed it as Cruella. The whole movie, honestly, kind of the switching between Estella and Cruella was done pretty well. I think there were only 2 points in the movie. There were only 2 points where things just felt off to me. I think that very first time that we saw her as an adult go from Estella to Cruella, she takes on the persona Cruella for this, which again, it kind of flips, and then it turns out Cruella's the main, and Estella's don't want to spoil too much. But that was something about it just felt wrong. And I think personally, the reason why I felt that is I think they were trying to get at the fact that Cruella and Estella was basically split personality disorder, I think is what they were going for. But it's not ever explicitly really said there. They do infer it a lot. But really, when Emma Stone had the 2 characters, it really just felt like a mentality switch. That in order to get the jobs done as Cruella that she needed to just change her mentality from Estella to Cruella and back and forth. So it was a weird thing where it was being displayed like it was split personality, that when Cruella was around, Estella was gone. She wasn't a person anymore. But the way that the tone of her and the way it was just a little unnatural to begin with. But I honestly warmed up to it by the end of it. And then the second thing was this ending. There's a big monologue in it that, I'll be honest, I thought the movie was going to end right there. I don't want to get too spoilery, but there's a big monologue that happens. Emma Stone has this really long, really well done monologue. When watching it, it felt like the movie could have ended there and you would have been happy. It would have left a lot unanswered, and that's what when I was watching, I was like, oh my God, are they going to end the movie right here? It feels something that feels wrong. But then they ended up continuing it, which I was very happy with, I'll be honest. But it was one of those things that it felt really weird that this was in the middle of the film, when it very much felt like an ending character speech. You're going to finish your speech, it's going to roll the credits, and it'll leave it open for Cruella 2, right? But they ended up not doing that, and they ended up having an entire another part of the movie. They had a 4th act of the movie when that was the end of the 3rd act. Which, as I said, I think it worked out really well. Emma Thompson as the Baroness did a fantastic job feeling like just kind of a jerk. She played off the jerk character very well. The pompous, super successful, strong, independent woman who steps over everyone and anything that gets in her way. did a fantastic job of being that character. And it's just smarts. Like, again, the kind of toss between the two of them, there was a lot of smarts and just that heist mentality of them trying to one up the other. The henchmen in it felt like actual characters. They weren't just henchmen, and they weren't just like stupid idiots who didn't know what they were doing and were fumbling around and were clumsy or anything. They felt like actual characters who were interesting and intriguing and good to have in this story. This movie had a lot of twists and a lot of changes to the story and the characters that I wasn't prepared for. And I think part of it has to do with how well the pacing of the movie was. It did such a good job of holding your attention that you really didn't think that much about what was happening in the future of this. You were very much in the moment, and they kept you there, that you didn't really even have time to consider, oh, what's going to be the twist of this all? How's it going to be? Now that I've seen it twice, when you watch it the second time, you're like, okay, I actually see where this is going from the beginning. They did a great job. If you watch it, you're like, oh, of course, all the twists and turns, they make total sense. But you don't notice it the first time watching it because they just did such a good job of hiding it or keeping your attention so you didn't have time to even think about it. This movie is a secret success, and it's a real shame because I think a lot of people weren't expecting it to be all that good, or they were just expecting it to be mediocre. And it's a shame because you could tell by box office numbers it's doing fine, but it's not doing great. And I really want to see Disney take advantage of this more, right? This is the same thing that they did with Maleficent, which I think was a very much cult classic for the people who like that kind of film. If you like that film, you're going to love this one. I think Cruella was better than the first Maleficent. I think it's definitely set it up to potentially have even more series with this character going forward. Story ends at a very particular point in kind of the timeline that, yeah, it's definitely open to have more. I don't know if they're going to do more. I really hope that the people kind of warm up to this. I think I've been talking to a lot of people that a lot of people are like, wow, I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about this movie. Maybe I should go check it out. And you should. People should go see this movie by the simple fact that I want to see Disney take more of these kind of risks. You know, we've seen the Marvel stuff, we've seen the Star Wars stuff. This is one of those movies that you take the risk, you completely redefine and reimagine a story that's already been around for decades, and you can kill it. You can just blow it out of the water. I know I'm just hyping this up a lot, but I'm going to call it right now. I can guarantee you this will be a top 3 movie of the year for me. And I'm seeing like a movie every single week at this point. So, but I can almost guarantee this movie is going to be a top 3 movie of 2021 for me. This was an incredible film, held your attention from the beginning to the end. Go watch it by yourself. Go see it with friends just because I want you to give Cruella more money to Disney, to our overlords Disney, to make more of this. I'm okay if Disney rules us if they make this kind of film, okay? I want to see them do more. So give them your money, give them your friends' money, give them that Dolby Digital premium access, whatever you want, but please, go watch this movie. You won't regret it. That's my rating for this movie. I'm going to do that for my ratings from now on. I'm not even going to give it a number rating. I'm going to give you a how many times should you watch it in theater and should you go with people. Anyways, though, you guys are beautiful. You guys are sexy. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this, please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Did you watch Cruella? Did you watch it multiple times like I have already? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would like to see if they did a sequel. Let's just nerd out about why. Let's just all talk about and question why this movie was so good, because it had no right to be, but it was. Anyways, though, stay sane out there.